Welcome to AI Pulse, news on AI made by AI. It is December 31st, 2025, and what an absolutely incredible year it's been. So for our special end-of-year edition, we are going to look back at the biggest stories that defined this historic year for artificial intelligence.
So here's what we've got on tap. We've boiled the whole year down into 6 key themes. We're going to follow the money, look at the global power struggle, check out the hardware being built, ask if it's all a big bubble, see what it's actually like for users, and finally, ask, what's the point of it all? Let's jump in.
Okay, first up, the trillion-dollar game. And honestly, if you're going to tell the story of 2025, you have to start with the money. The sheer scale of the cash that poured into AI this year was, well, it was just breathtaking. And speaking of breathtaking, topping the news today, on the very last day of the year, SoftBank has finalized its massive investment into OpenAI. The grand total? A cool $41 billion. But hey, they weren't the only ones writing huge checks. Not to be outdone, Meta just announced it's dropping over $2 billion to acquire Manus, an AI agent startup. That's a massive bet on the future of autonomous AI. And just to put all this in perspective, these deals are happening in a market where a single company, NVIDIA, briefly hit a valuation of $5 trillion this year. Trillion, with a T. It's just hard to wrap your head around. So when you lay it all out like this, you really start to see the bigger picture. It is a full-blown global gold rush. You've got SoftBank making this enormous strategic play in OpenAI. You have Meta buying up a company that's already making real money. And then you have NVIDIA's valuation, which is, well, it's bigger than the economy of most countries on Earth. It's just wild.
Okay, so this isn't just about corporations getting rich. This financial arms race is feeding directly into our next huge theme for the year. A global power struggle, a new world order really, all centered around AI.
And this sums up the great philosophical divide of 2025 perfectly. On one side, you have the US approach, which is basically, get out of the way, let the private sector run as fast as it can, keep regulations to a minimum. They're even planning to sue states that try to slow things down. On the other side, you have China doing the complete opposite. A totally state-led, coordinated effort building its entire AI ecosystem from the top down.
And let's just dig into that China strategy for a second, because it is so important. This AI Plus initiative isn't some vague policy idea. No, this is a hardcore national strategy. They're literally creating new government offices just to manage AI development, pushing it into specific industries like fashion and intelligent vehicles, and setting these incredibly ambitious goals for the next decade. It's a fundamentally different way of thinking about building an industry.
All right, so you've got the money, and you've got the geopolitics, but none of it means anything without the actual hardware, right? The physical machines. And believe me, 2025 saw a massive arms race here too.
And it all starts at the microscopic level. News breaking today again confirms that TSMC has officially started mass-producing 2-nanometer chips. I mean, these are the smallest, most powerful, most advanced semiconductors on the planet. This is the absolute foundation for everything that's coming next.
And this shows you exactly how the pipeline works. It's actually pretty simple. Step 1, TSMC makes these insane new chips. Step 2, companies like Elon Musk's xAI buy them up by the truckload and build these gigantic data centers. And step 3, they use all of that raw power to train the next generation of AI. It's a straight line from a tiny piece of silicon to what we are now calling intelligent.
And when I say gigantic, I mean the scale is just hard to comprehend. xAI just bought another building for its data center complex. Their goal? To get to almost 2 gigawatts of power consumption. 2 gigawatts? That is literally enough electricity to power a small city. And all of it? Every single watt is dedicated to one thing: training AI.
So, you have all this money, all this national ambition, all this hardware being built at a completely crazy scale. It all leads to the one question that was on everyone's lips throughout 2025.
Is this real? Is this a genuine revolution? Or are we just living inside the biggest, most speculative financial bubble in human history?
Well, if you look at the numbers, there are definitely some flashing red lights. This chart shows a classic way to measure if the stock market is overpriced. And yeah, you can see that right now the market is valued higher than it was right before the great crash of 1929 and the financial crisis of 2008. So you can see why some folks are getting a little nervous.
But let's step away from the Wall Street analysts and the politicians for a second. What about for the rest of us, the average person actually using this stuff every day? What did the AI revolution feel like in 2025? Well, sometimes it felt kind of broken.
And here's a perfect little story to explain what I mean. The company Anthropic decided to run a nice holiday promo for its paying subscribers. Hey, it's the end of the year. Here's double the usage on our AI, Claude. Sounds great, right? A nice little gift.
Well, not so fast. Almost immediately, the online forums just lit up with complaints. This one user summed it up perfectly. They said they hit their usage limit in just an hour, and that it actually felt like they were getting less usage, not more. What the heck indeed? Yeah, the frustration was palpable. And this comment, "the cake is a lie," it just perfectly captures that feeling, doesn't it? That gap between what the marketing promises and what the actual day-to-day experience is really like.
And you know what the crazy part is? It wasn't some big conspiracy. The whole problem was a simple user interface bug. The little progress bar was just wrong. It's such a small thing, but it caused total confusion. And it just goes to show you how fragile this user experience can be, even for the biggest companies in the game.
So, okay, we've got trillion-dollar bets, we've got geopolitical chess matches, and we've got buggy rollouts. After a year like this, you kind of have to step back and ask a simple question: what is all of this for? So let's end our 2025 review with a story that brings us back to that very question.
This quote is from Ma-chun, a robot pilot at the Dawn Avatar Robot Cafe in Tokyo. It's a remarkable place, where the wait staff are robots operated remotely by people who are housebound, many with severe disabilities. It gives them a job, a connection, a way to be part of society again. As Ma-chun says, it's given him a second life.
And that really is the question to take into 2026, isn't it? As the race for AI dominance, for dollars, for compute power, just gets faster and faster. Who is all of this technology ultimately for? Stories like this one remind us that beyond all the hype, the real goal should be to solve human problems. And that's the thought I want to leave you with. That's all for AI Pulse, and for 2025, we'll see you next year.